WrestleManiacs, Maniacs. This is the podcast, it's called WrestleManiacs. Adam, Donna, Indian Josh, they're now together forever in the sun. WrestleManiacs. This is the podcast, it's called WrestleManiacs. WWE, AEW, TNA, JPW.
WrestleManiacs. Welcome again. It is I, Josh Porosky, here, WrestleM Podcast, but I'm not alone reviewing NXT Heatwave. I have got the amazing, again, toast of the West Coast, Dadala, here. The show was so great. This is the second time, Dadala, you're actually reviewing NXT show. So tell me, what about this show has got you so hyped up that you're going to review it twice in the same night? I mean, it's like Jericho beating Rock in Austin. It's a damn miracle.
I actually really did enjoy tonight's show, even though I fell asleep in the middle of the show, which is true. I did fall asleep in the middle of the show. I actually really enjoyed tonight's show, but I fell asleep not because I thought it was boring. It was really hot. So I took a heat nap, but I thought it was a great show, top to bottom. There really wasn't anything I disliked about tonight's show.
So you're saying a heat wave caused you to go to sleep? Is that what you're saying? Sounds like it, from my estimation, huh?
I guess, but
that's great, though. Hey, look, and you know what? You woke up and you decided, you know what? I've got to see what's going to happen next on NXT. You didn't just say, "Oh, I'll read about it. I'll just know." You went and took the time to keep watching it. So you know what? Kudos. So we have already got comments just before we even went live, and I want to kind of highlight those out if I can. So Daniel, you said NXT Heatwave was, my opinion, great, especially Roxanne Perez versus Lola Vice, which we will talk about. And I said it on the Rangers of Wrestling channel. Roxanne Perez's power level was over 9,000 and that she killed it tonight. You also said she is main roster bound next year. I'm saying this now. Your early prediction is for the 2025 Royal Rumble for women, Roxanne Perez. And you said something else too, man. You gotta. I love this. I love the interaction already before we even go live. I think the feuds between Ethan Page and Trick is going to be classic. Slobber knocker. Feud between Prodigy, Roxanne. Oh, my Prodigy. Excuse me. Your Prodigy, Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice rematch is going to happen soon. Boy, we are just, on fire already. We've already got people commenting before the show goes live, which I love that. Yeah, the show was, you actually said before we went on air that you think it's better than the Money in the Bank show. Is that right?
Yeah, I thought it was better than Money in the Bank. I also thought it was better than last month's Battleground.
And we had an hour less this time, whereas Money in the Bank, I think it was almost 3 hours. This was only a 2-hour show, basically the same show that you see on Tuesday nights. And so let's get with it. I mean, we started out tonight with the North American Championship match, Oba Femi versus Wesley. And of course, Oba Femi wins. But what'd you think of this match here? What'd you make of it?
Oba Femi is a fucking beast. He is a star. He is a star. He's a future world champion for sure. I wish NXT had their own version of Option C. That way he can relinquish the NXT North American title undefeated and challenge for the world title.
I mean, it's so crazy with Oba Femi's rise because, I know you really didn't watch too much, but I know that he literally came out of a breakout tournament, it literally was, now he's North American champion? I mean, not since Brock Lesnar have we seen this sort of ascension in terms of, Brock debuted in March, was world champion by August. Granted, again, it was a different time, but the fact that he's North American champion and, most people criticize his reign so far because it's always been multi-man matches, but this was a really good showing for Wesley and Oba Femi. I mean, granted, Wesley out there being able to bump for the monster that is Oba Femi is great, but, I'm digging it. Again, I am an Oba Femi believer. At first, I was kind of like, all right, this is kind of a Nigerian giant type of, Polo Cruz-esque thing. But no, he's really starting to show his own. And now I can understand how they kind of jumped up towards it.
He definitely threw Wesley around like a rag doll during this match. And this was really great. He's definitely, like I said, he's definitely going to be a world champion. That F5 was more like an F5000.
Yes. And the sit-out powerbomb I love, too. I mean, it's basically a callback to Brock Lesnar and Batista. But, I really love the whole, when they do the entrance thing because it caught on. I really thought at first it was just kind of, the NXT crowd, but people were catching on to it. So, I mean, I'm not saying he's a Wakandan king, but, boy, they definitely play into that well. And I love the idea that he is royalty. So to
Definitely.
me, thank goodness Carmelo is no longer in NXT because I imagine they may have let poor Obafemi squash Mr. Little Carmelo, but that's great. It was a great match again, and we get later on Wesley basically distraught in the backstage saying he was supposed to win and he was great tag champion, great singles champion, and he's gonna have to do something else. So are we thinking, Donald, this is going to be a Rascals reunion again? And I only say that because you have more details about the Rascals. I just know them in name only.
I'll get into that right now. Actually, I'll just go ahead and talk about it. I'll mention what I was going to say right now. The Rascals, smoke them if you got them. Wesley T. Scene, he's going to address his future on Tuesday. Now, I don't know if you watched TNA this Thursday like you were supposed to.
I have not yet. That's on my list tonight, actually.
But No Quarter Catch Crew actually invaded TNA. They attacked the Rascals. And now the Rascals say that they might show to get back at No Quarter Catch Crew. So we could possibly see the Rascals with Wesley.
That would be a great match. Again, No Quarter Catch Crew is starting to catch on a lot more. I think Charlie Dempsey, is the star of that whole entire group, really, just because he's got screen presence. But, to me, that makes sense. And, we're going to get more. And we'll talk about another TNA star that showed up at the last second. Kind of a very strange, almost, I thought it was a production mistake. Of course, it wasn't. But we'll talk about that after the main event. But
I don't know if you caught it, but Vic Joseph quoting Eminem's "Lose Yourself" during this match. He said Wesley's palms are sweaty. He basically did the whole opening verse to "Lose Yourself."
That's crazy. No, I didn't catch that, unfortunately. I just, think I'm an old guy now. I don't think I caught that one. But now I'm going to have to go back and watch it and, catch it again. But this match was great.
More attention to commentary.
Sometimes I just tune them out, to be honest with you. Vic Joseph's all right, and Booker T's Booker T, but I don't know. They're just different. But from here, it was great. Now, another match that came up, we had the North American Women's Champion, Kalani Jordan versus Sol Ruca, and of course, Kalani Jordan retains. This is to me kind of one of those. It was a great match, but I felt it was playing the wrestling games. I kind of felt it was reversal after reversal after reversal after reversal. So not a bad match, but I don't know. Again, I didn't really love this match as much as I expected.
I have to disagree with you. I actually really enjoyed this match. My favorite spot in this match was that 450 clothesline that Sol Ruca did to Kalani Jordan. That was a really cool spot. I'm glad that Kalani Jordan won. I think she needed to win. She just won that North American title. She needs to hold on to it for a little while longer.
Well, I just recently found out that is Carmelo's girlfriend in real life too. So I always thought that was an interesting dynamic they can play into later on. If they turn her heel or anything like that, they could always say that Carmelo has influence because he is, again, the #1 draft pick for SmackDown. Of course, we don't know that if you were watching how he's been treated, but that's another discussion for another time. But, again, it's not to say this match wasn't good. I just felt that it never got into the second gear of, okay, now we're in a fight. At least that's for me. But, again, I love the contrarian opinion. That's always the best part about WrestleManiacs. Is not everything is always the same. Our predictions, of course, always show that too. So, okay, great. And now we've got another match, an NXT Tag Team title match coming up with Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus Chase Yu of Mr. Chase as well as Duke Hudson. Axiom and Frazier actually retained, which surprised me. They've been teasing that they've been sort of at odds with one another, especially the super kick during the middle of the match from Frazier to Axiom. Were you surprised they retained?
Yeah, especially because during the pre-show, there was a backstage segment with Nathan Frazier and Axiom. You saw Axiom sitting in the locker room, kind of waiting on Nathan Frazier. And Nathan Frazier, when he got there late, blamed it on trouble. And so he was so I do feel like there's an implosion pending here, especially after that accidental super kick that we got. So I was really surprised he did retain. I thought this is a great match. I don't know if there's been a singles match between Andre Chase and Axiom, but there hasn't. There needs to be. That opening sequence between the two of them was incredible.
Incredible. Even Mr. Chase hitting the, essentially the Canadian Destroyer, but they called it something else, essentially. It was great.
Driver, they called it Canadian Driver.
Driver, right. It was great. This match came out a lot better than expected. And, Axiom, if they make him the heel, is going to be interesting, especially for a masked figure where you can't see his face. It's really going to be interesting. And again, they've had great matches, them two, before, and they became a tag team. So, I mean, their speed is, definitely something I'm looking forward to, the implosion. I was surprised that they retained because, I mean, Chase U's been champions before, but again, I honestly was expecting something a little nefarious from Chase U to cost them the match versus Axiom and Frazier beating them clean. But again, great match here. Great tag team match. Definitely a lot better than, I guess I'd say, unanticipated. A lot of back and forth.
Another spot that I liked during this match was, as we learned, Trish Stratus didn't only inspire the women, but she apparently also inspired the men. Duke Hudson hitting that Stratusfaction, I thought was a pretty cool spot.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Duke is definitely one that, he stepped into the role kind of in the middle of the whole Chase U thing because they had to let another guy, I can't remember his name now, blonde guy go. And I really thought it was going to be a heel turn, but they've really made him a really good, important part of Chase U. I think that's probably what saved his job, to be honest with you. But I mean, I like Chase U. I think that there's got to be some implosion coming with Ridge Holland in the mix, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. So maybe this is the start of them saying we can't win the big one, Mr. Chase. You're the weak link. I don't know. Again, I'm really liking this thread that we're starting. So next we get, did you have anything else on this tag match? I'm sorry.
No, I thought it was a great match. A Great American Bash on Tuesday, August 6th on Sci-Fi.
Yeah, that is crazy. Again, I always love that they have all the WCW pay-per-views and some of the ECW pay-per-views mixed in there. So we've got some comments here. Sorry, guys, I hadn't purposely missed you. Let's see. So I've got, let's see, Michael said Oba will no doubt be a main roster bound next year. Yeah, I definitely would agree there. The Rascals versus No Quarter Cash Crew will be teased on Tuesday night, no doubt about it. And then the comic menu. Hey, how is everyone? Hey, we're great. Again, we are reviewing NXT Heatwave, and you're live with us. So again, thanks for being with us, the comic menu, as well as everybody else. I am glad Kalani solo. So didn't turn heel yet. So right. And then Nathan Frazier and Axiom will break up soon as they lose their tag team titles. Yes, I'd agree. Again, going back to what I was saying, we are now on to the women's match of Roxanne Perez versus Lola Vice. And Perez actually retains here. As I said earlier offline, this was probably, to me, the least excited I was for a match. Not a bad match by any stretch, but again, because I think Julia was teased a couple of months ago coming into the promotion, I kind of felt that Perez was pretty safe here because I think Lola has a bunch of talent. Don't get me wrong. But again, I really didn't love the whole random, she was a badass and now she started crying about her mom on Tuesday to make her the de facto babyface. Again, I don't know. Something about her hasn't clicked for me just yet. But what do you think, Donald?
I really didn't. I actually really like this match. I think Lola Vice is definitely going to be a future star. That fourth pop rock, Roxanne Perez hit a total of 5 pop rocks during this match. That fourth one seemed like it botched because they fell.
Horrible.
But they were able to recover pretty quickly.
I was afraid she would break her neck when she was going to the side. I'm like, oh God, she's going to hit her head or something. So yeah, it was a terrible botch on that one.
But I will say, I think the women killed it. We had 3 women's matches tonight. I think they all knocked it out of the park. NXT showing where they have the second best women's division in North America. Obviously, TNA Knockouts are the best women's division in North America. But I actually really did enjoy this match.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was good. Again, that 5 pop rocks I thought was a little bit of an overkill. But again, I understand that the idea of, her trying to take out Lola Vice. And, really, I can't say I hated the match, but again, out of what we got tonight, I would say it's my least favorite match. But I mean, in a great card, again, you look at WrestleMania 17, one of, I think, regarded the best WrestleManias of all time from what I've heard and even seeing it live back then. The worst match of an amazing pay-per-view, is really a great match on any other show. So again, kudos to all the women, and Kalani Jordan and Sol Ruka definitely, I think, showed a lot more tonight, going back just to the women's division in general that I've seen in versus NXT television. Daniel's got a thing here. Roxanne Perez versus Lola Vice round 2 should be in the fight pit with the stipulation that if Lola Vice doesn't win, she doesn't challenge for the NXT Women's Championship as long as Roxanne is champion. Yeah, I mean, they might be going there because they have teased that Roxanne Perez talking about this is her type of match, a traditional wrestling match. So it probably will go to the underground, I would imagine.
The only dilemma I'd have with that is Roxanne Perez, she beat Lola Vizier clean. Had it been a
Yep.
dirty, I could see a rematch, but she beat her clean. So I wouldn't know how we would get there.
I'll be honest, I don't like the NXT Underground matches. To me, I mean, they're about just as bad as the Raw Underground matches, and it's not their fault. I mean, you're having this sort of type of fight, and I mean, I don't know. Again, I've not been into the fight pits necessarily anything because it never feels any different to me. But that's just me. So, but from there, we will leave and head on to our main event, which had a very, very unique ending, which I loved especially. We have got Trick Williams defending his title versus Shawn Spears versus Javon Evans and Ethan Page, where actually Ethan Page wins the NXT title almost out of a mistake by Trick and Shawn Spears, costing him that. What did you make of this match?
I thought the finish was definitely interesting and unique. Trick Williams with that trick shot to Javon Evans and to Ethan Page, and just Ethan Page just so happened to land on Javon Evans. I definitely do think that opens the door for the rivalry with Trick Williams and Ethan Page to continue, because technically Ethan Page didn't pin Trick Williams here.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he pinned Javon because, I mean, essentially that was his story of getting the title match, is that, hey, I beat the #1 contender. I should get a chance at the title. And essentially they had him do it again here. And I love the fact that Ethan Page really didn't skip a beat, just basically once said, holy crap, I'm the champion, and just smiled at Trick. And Trick losing his championship, I have to admit, I was pleasantly surprised, I've got to say, because I think Trick Williams, for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's because of NXT, but I don't really ever see him wrestle very often on the NXT shows anymore. It seemed like he stopped after he became champion. Seems like. I mean, again, that may just be my interpretation, but having Ethan Page as champion, I mean, it is, I didn't follow Ethan Page in AEW really, but I know that he's got talent for sure. I think, I'd be honest with you, I think we'd get a little bit more mileage out of Shawn Spears, but Shawn Spears, I think, is there as kind of a mentor role right now versus being any type of champion. And again, it is still weird to me they're calling him Shawn Spears, because I always am going to see him as not Shawn Spears, especially in NXT.
What, Ty Dillinger?
Ty Dillinger, yep, exactly. But again, I like that they kept the chairman gimmick. I mean, I like that they kept everything there. But this match, honestly, was crazy, especially Javon Evans' dive from the ring into Trick, knocking him into the barricade. And then Javon Evans getting basically pushed off of the top rope on the outside, springboarding, trying to springboard into the ring. Trick just pushed him in. Ooh, I think that was kind of a botch, him landing on his side on that table, though.
The crowd popped when Shawn Spears did the sharpshooter.
Yeah, that was great too. I did like that they basically kind of did that. And my favorite part of the match, really, besides the ending, was the fact when it was Shawn Spears and Ethan Page, and they looked at each other, had that stare off, and they both poked each other in the eye at the same time. That made me laugh out loud so hard.
Yeah. I thought it was a lot of interesting things going on in this match. One, you had Jay Evans, who seemed a little bit more focused on helping Trick Williams retain the title than him wanting to win the title. Two, It seems that Shawn Spears was much more focused on costing Trick Williams this match than him trying to win the title. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and putting him on his foot on the rope and stuff was okay. I mean, Javon Evans has talent. Let me say that in the get-go. I don't love the gimmick of, OG, all that sort of stuff. It's okay. To me, I think it's too much caricature, to be honest with you, in my opinion, but that's just me. But again, they definitely made him look strong, and that he almost won the title twice here in this match and almost got the 3 down. Ethan Page, really odd. He had that one near fall, and then he won. But poor Shawn Spears, besides the sharpshooter spot, I really didn't feel like he was really... He could have been a bigger factor, I thought, in this match that he really played. He did play kind of spoiler, but I'll be honest with you, it was kind of weird when he pulled out Trick Williams. But again, I think they did show that he looked distraught. The fact that, he didn't win the championship here. Daniel, you've said Ethan Page and Trick Williams will be great when Trick Williams is back on the chase for the championship. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the best story usually is the heel being chased by the babyface. I mean, look at Dusty Rhodes. He never was champion for very long. So I could say the same about Cody Rhodes too, but that's a whole nother conversation as well.
Honestly, I feel like Like, and I said this, I said this before. Ethan Page should have won the title here, and he did. I felt like him winning that Battleground was too soon. He got the victory here in his home country of Canada. I honestly, this is just me personally, I honestly would have preferred if they would have held off on debuting Ethan Page, had him debut at Battleground by attacking Trick Williams and then having him win the title here. But, you know, everything worked out. He won here in his home country, which I think is what they were going for.
Well, and that's the end of the pay-per-view, or PLE, but, there was a little bit of a tease. And it was so quick, if you didn't really watch to the end, you'd have missed it. As the show's ending, we see a familiar face, and do we want to talk about, Donald, who that familiar face is?
They didn't even say his name, and he still appeared.
Joe Hendry. We get a turning Joe Hendry so quick, in fact, that I looked at that and I was like, did they mess up on a production thing? And I was like, oh, Ethan Page is champion. Are we going to get Joe Hendry run for the NXT title? What are we going to do there? Is he just going to start taking over the show? I don't know. Again, it would be very interesting if they had something to where Joe Hendry actually ran and won the NXT title. I don't think it's going to happen right now, but I would love the fact if he basically took the title hostage and brought it to TNA, because why not?
Well, you forgot during the Battle Royal, Joe Hendry and Ethan Page went at it.
I mean, I tease that they're going to have a feud between them, but I wonder, what do you do with Trick Williams then? Do we have a triple threat at SummerSlam? And the idea that a TNA contracted superstar wins the WWE NXT championship and takes it to TNA? How do we insert Joe Hendry here? Because again, Joe Hendry, unfortunately, was eliminated so quickly in that battle royal. But again, the social media just lost their collective stuff over him debuting in NXT. So I love the fact that we had this little tease. It's so different for Joe Hendry in terms of just having that little short. I mean, literally, it wasn't, what, 2 seconds, Donald, maybe? You blinked and you missed it, but I was like, that's Joe Hendry. And then you're like, what the heck's going on? So, interesting times in NXT for sure. Definitely. We used to have when the worlds collided with NXT UK, but are we going to get TNA versus NXT next year in January?
I would hope so. You know something? I kind of thought, because they were in Canada, they would tease Josh Alexander. I don't know if you know this, but back when Ethan Page was in TNA, he was actually in a tag team called the North alongside Josh Alexander. So I kind of thought, oh, they're in Canada. Ethan Page just won the world title. We're going to see a potential tease with Josh Alexander here. But we got Joe Hendry, so I'm not complaining.
Interesting thing is Joe Hendry, well, I say interesting. I don't mean interesting, but the response he got from the NXT crowd, even though he, to me, cut a heelish promo in his first night in NXT. Again, heelish. But I love the fact that, I mean, you know what? Maybe we'll get Josh Alexander show up and help Ethan Page. Maybe we'll get Ethan Page and Josh Alexander as some version of the North versus Trick Williams and Joe Hendry. I mean, again, we've seen it to where Brett was a heel in Canada, a heel in the USA, and a hero in Canada. Could we get it to where Josh Alexander is one babyface over in TNA, and then he's a heel in NXT? I mean, it's been done before. The Von Erichs here in Dallas were heroes here, but if you talk to anybody from Louisiana, Alabama, they were major heels over there. Hated like the Freebirds were here, so interesting times, and what a way to end the show with Joe Hendry going from the opening of the Battle Royal to the main event. The last thing you see on a PLE is Joe Hendry. Where is Elias, and why are they not feuding as of yet? Elias versus Joe Hendry musical battle. Come on, give it to me. I got to hear that.
So do I.
So, anyways, with Dodala, where can people find you? Again, that's it for our Heatwave review. I mean, that's that. It was a great show. Again, I would agree Money in the Bank was not as good as this one. So, but anyways, as I said, where can they find you?
Well, before I get into that, I really did enjoy tonight's show. Like I said at the beginning, I liked it so much I had to review it twice. So it was a really good show. This is going to surprise you. It's going to surprise a lot of you. But I actually thought tonight's show was actually a Sean Spears Perfect 10.
Wow.
There wasn't anything on tonight's show that I disliked. Yeah, there were a couple backstage segments, but I felt like it balanced the show. You know, if there would have been a lot of backstage segments, I felt like that would have brought the quality of the show down. I thought all the matches delivered. There really wasn't a match that I felt was like the weak link of the show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I liked it better than I did Money in the Bank, and I liked it better than I did Battleground.
Yeah, because we gave what 6, 7 to Money in the Bank, so you're going up 2 points there. Or 3 points. I'm sorry, perfect 10. I would give this a 9. I think the only thing missing, and again, I understand time wise they have to, but I would have loved to see Axiom turn on Frazier at this point, only because again to tie it up with a nice bow. But again, you want to have that sort of thing for NXT TV. I understand that, but I mean, great show overall to the crew, and we'll see how Great American Bash does next month because we have the Dusty Classic coming back usually at the Great American Bash. So,
you know, I do think that having been in NXT since January, there are some PLEs or some specials that are a hit or miss.
yes,
You know, I feel like some of them are like this was really strong. Some I feel start off strong and then kind of falter and then pick up again. And some of them are just like, it's just this is background noise.
I mean, the Fatal 4-Way at the main event was something I did not expect to be that good. Really, truly. I did not expect it to have that kind of ending. And to me, and look, I mean, how much amount does Mr. Joe Hendry showing up at the end add to this PLE? Is that what really makes it the perfect 10? It's like you have your boy. And again, that's not any sarcasm. Again, I like Joe Hendry and I've not really even watched much of it. But how much does he add to the pointage there? I'm curious.
Honestly, he really didn't add much to it. I feel like even without the Joe Henry tease, it still would have been a great show overall. I did enjoy it, even if I fell asleep in the middle of it. But that's a different story.
It's that heat wave, I'm telling you. Something like that. Well, again, I give it a 9, you give it a 10. So great show overall to all the crew there at NXT because, boy, they killed it. They definitely made Money in the Bank look like nothing in comparison.
Yeah. But anywho, you can follow me on Twitter at @this_. I talk all things wrestling, WWE, AEW, TNA. I go live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, occasional Saturdays and Sundays over on my channel, Rangers of Wrestling. And for all things TNA, you can catch me on Body Slam every Thursday.
Great. That's awesome. Well, we got another thing from Daniel. He says, can't wait for the Raw after and NXT after Money in the Bank and Heat Wave. Monday and Tuesday are going to be a watch and see what's next. Definitely. I mean, now Drew McIntyre is suspended indefinitely. We didn't talk about that on Money in the Bank show, but he's suspended indefinitely, and CM Punk has been fined. So, and then again, we have the Heat Wave. So, he's right. Monday and Tuesday are going to be very interesting. You can find me again at Russell M Podcast reviewing Raw, SmackDown, NXT, the PLEs, as well as Forbidden Door if I can ever get to it. It's just been crazy. I've got some church stuff to deal with, but definitely going to be ramping up here soon. And you know what? WrestleManiacs, stay tuned because we got so much more coming at you. So for me and for Jadala as well, we will see all of you later on coming up next week. So have a good night, good evening, wherever you are in the world. See y'all later. Bye.